Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the European Racing Series Grand Prix here in Brazil for what is going to be the second to last time, both in the F1 2019 game and this season of the European Racing Series. I'm Ben Rwaggy McConnell, and joining me as normal now is David Facetta Time Tate. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you very much. Yeah, as you said, not very long to go in this season, not very long to go in this game. And I don't want to be mean, but thank God. Thank God.
Yeah,
Can we get a new game, please?
The new game as well looks really good in terms of features-wise. Obviously, we're just waiting to see what the stability is going to be like. That's the bit from our perspective that we're most focused on, I suppose, is being able to hold a race and it not fall apart on us, as Dennis has already had to rejoin this race in itself already, before we've even got yet underway. We do have a Alpha on its way out, and I do want to kind of just chuck it over to you immediately and just ask, the man who's on his way out now, do you think he has the ability today to get himself on pole?
Well, no Pampernick, so it's going to be a straight fight between him and some idiot, but it looks like there's a little bit of... looks like a damp track, or am I just hallucinating?
It might be cool. I don't see any...
I saw some spray.
No, I don't see it.
Yeah, I think I'm just losing my mind. Ignore me completely.
Well, give me 1, 2, 3 whilst you're right.
Lost your mind.
Let's see what you
got. Mizzo, some idiot, and then Spicy.
In that order?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I don't know. Yepany, I know it can be seriously fast, so it's a question of like whether or not he's going to show up today. And I was just going to say, you know, Yepany is back, but is he back? And I'm hoping that he has got his skill with him today, and he's able to take it to the track and get himself onto the top 3, maybe even secure himself a podium, or a pole position, going into the race, which would be fantastic. You know, we'd love to see him to dominate. But I think you're right. I think Mizzo and Samidia are just the two that are going to be ahead of everybody at the minute. P3, I'm kind of going to give it to Yonti, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's a real stab at P3. It could be any one of a number of drivers, as Fragioko seems to be having some connection issues. Is Yepany in the Mercedes?
He is. We are having a restart.
So he's changed his name for me, so that's going to be something.
Is it an appropriate name?
It's just like, what is it? It's Econi.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same way.
No, it does not. There is going to be a session restart. It seems as though a couple of people are having some issues. Not sure exactly what that might be. But I've just been notified to let us know that that is exactly what's going to happen now. And
another bit of news for you. It's a wet race.
Ooh. Ooh. I love a good old-fashioned wet race.
Pogs in the Discord, but is Brazil? Would it be Brazil if it was a dry race?
Well, it's funny because there's actually been a few occasions where I've seen Brazil being that wet. We've actually had safety cars come out. No incidents on the circuit, just the rain's been that severe that the game's decided this is not safe. We have to go for a safety car. I didn't even know that was in the game until it happened. It blew my mind. So maybe, just maybe, we might see that today, but we can guarantee there's going to be rain at some point in the race itself, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it twice in the game where the safety car goes weather conditions, and it's both happened in Brazil, so you never know. We could be in for a real treat here. I
mean, it can be so crazy sometimes, the rain here, where you can literally you can see cars coming down turn 3. A camera will cut to the end of the run up towards turn 4, and you just can't see the car. They just emerge out of the spray. Like, that was crazy. So I'd like to see that again. That would be fantastic. And the rehost is on the way now.
You're clearly not using the method of turning the spray off, right? For graphical purposes.
No, I would leave it on, obviously. You know, even when I'm driving, I leave it on. You need that pin.
No, it's a combination of me having a terrible graphics card and not wanting to drive in a load of spray.
I will be honest. Driving into a lot of spray is incredibly terrifying. Like, I mean, I deliberately don't turn off the particle effects purely because I do like to have that sort of surreal realism, if you like, to an extent. And it is honestly just crazy how little you can see. You can be in the toe of, like, especially on lap 1 when you're chasing all the other cars that are ahead of you, which sadly is exactly how I race all the time, chasing other cars. But when the spray is being kicked up, you literally just all you can see is the name tags. If you turn them off, you would have no idea where people were. The red lights don't really give you that much of an indicator.
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself a pretty good driver in the wet, but I think in real life, I would just be sort of driving around at 30 miles per hour.
Crawling.
Hitting myself, yeah.
I mean, it's obviously not as bad. I'm saying as bad because it's still pretty bad, but it's not as bad when you've actually got the gaps spread out a little bit. But yeah, it can be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. And another factor is, obviously, I'm always at the front, so I never see the spray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. The only track you ever do that on is Monaco, and you know it.
Wet Monaco, you can count me in. I don't care what platform, anything. I could be driving a 1996 Williams versus everything else.
Yeah.
I'd still show up.
And we all believe you.
I'm sure.
I just want to kind of go over some of the other drivers as well. I mean, Spicy's had a bit of a hit and miss kind of season. I mean, he was looking good in Mexico for a brief amount of time. I would like to see him back to form where he can actually just come to a circuit, chuck in ridiculous pace, and finish in a really respectable points position. I mean, he's still getting points regardless, but it's just a shame that this is the case for him.
Yeah, I think, especially with a wet race, it'll be a good chance for a bit of a mix-up in the pack, and hopefully he'll be one to take advantage, get his form back.
Now, obviously, we know that the track is going to be wet in the race. It's obviously going to be a bit of a problem for them for a number of different things, but strategy is no longer a factor anymore. It's now just pure tyre management, pure fuel management as well, and just seeing how far you can go on the tyres that you're on. You don't actually have to pit when it comes to these wet conditions. You can just take them all the way to the end, providing that you are good enough to keep your car pointing in the right direction and not spin the rears on the X's. I think that's the main key part there is, if you spin the rears, you can say goodbye to your tyre wear. That's the main issue. But it's so easy to do in these wet conditions.
If you spin your rears, if you don't spin your rears, are you really driving in the wet? That's my question. If you're not completely drifting and power sliding through every corner, what are you doing? That's
slow and steady wins the race is how I like to take it, but maybe just slow. And occasionally steady is probably how it's more described.
Slow and unstable.
Slow, unstable, the back end kicking out into the wall, that kind of thing. I am getting better in the wet conditions, but the other factor that these guys have to think about is ERS management. You coming out of corners with your ERS set up a little bit too high, you can easily spin the rear so much more, and that just really loses tenths, sometimes even almost half a second. Well, even worse than that if you actually lose it completely and go off into a wall.
Well, yeah, that's the danger. A lot of big curbs around here. Not ones that unsettle the car, but that lack of grip combined with the wet weather might just be enough to get these cars sliding around and maybe put a couple in the wall. I wouldn't bet against a safety car in these conditions.
Now, luckily, me being the Oracle and me having the amazingly highly focused eye that I have, we'll be able to keep an eye on the temperatures as they go through the race. Now, obviously, they are going to be less than what you'd get on the dry compound when we come into the actual race itself, because the wet tyres operate at a much lower temperature. They have to, because the rain being on circuit does reduce those temperatures. We do actually have a Toro Rosso already on his way out, which is Luca. It was Mizzo who was out first last time. He did a really fast lap, considering, but it was immediately beaten by some idiot. So already starting to see the battles forming.
I'm seeing that spray again. I'm definitely losing it. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a really cold track. Who knows? But look at on the mediums, which may give a slight indicator that it might not be a wet start.
Yeah.
Surely they'd just be going all out with the soft. Oh, everyone else has gone for the soft, so I might be wrong. It might just be a call by Luca to get familiar with the track and then have the boost of extra grip on his second run.
Hugo's in the pits. Haven't really seen much from Hugo's, to be honest. It's been a very sad part of the season when I have seen him race. He's not had a particularly strong set of results. Nothing really happening on the circuit that kind of shows any potential that he's got locked in him. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have it. I'm sure if I got on circuit with him, he'd destroy me. But it's just sad to see. I'd like to see that name pop up in the bottom left-hand corner saying fastest lap, overtaking places and actually getting further up the field. as Luca just invalidated the first hot lap of the session.
Yeah, so 2 minutes into the qualifying session, you've already written off Hugo's completely for this evening. It's really harsh.
Not written him off, just not yet seen anything happen from him in previous races. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I want to see him do well. I even the same for Vexit. Vexit, again, when I have seen him race, hasn't particularly impressed me. But that doesn't mean that they can't do it here today. This is a circuit here where it's a very legendary circuit. It's a very old school circuit, and I would very much like to see any of these guys start to chuck their names up there as well. Get rid of some of the usual suspects. Even the likes of Mizzo, for example, he has been the one to watch almost all the time. And when Hypers hasn't been there, then he's the man you put on the first position, second position, alongside some idiot. But it's very rare you see any of these other guys up there as well. I mean, even Yepany, he's probably somebody I would expect to be in that top 5 at least. And I just don't see it often.
Yeah, Yepany's never been a good qualifier, but he's always kind of managed to bring it back in the race with an alternate tyre choice. Whether he'll, because of the wet race, just try and go for pure positions in qualifying remains to be seen. But Yepany's strength certainly in the race, as opposed to being in qualifying. But Vexit, I think he is quick. He's not very consistent, but on his day he can be super quick. And he's one of the people that I think could well challenge for P3.
Baker invalidated and on his way back into the pits. We have McLaren now. Hugo's, I've already slated the driving, but is it going to be better today in the qualifying? Yeah, pretty solid there. 108.260, only 2 tenths away from current pole position.
And a 108.1 by some idiot that was invalidated. That would have put him P4. A big old slipstream up the hill as well by his teammate Vexit. To no avail because obviously invalidated, but looks like the racing points will be working together.
Frajoko then coming around the final proper corner, coming up to
Dennis
the
gone
straight.
off.
Yeah.
Dennis going off on his outlap. I'm not sure whether that was on purpose or not. We'll just give him the benefit of the doubt there because, he's the admin.
Yeah, you don't want to get fired. His teammate though, Frajoko, he's actually gone off again as Dennis. And on the most crucial area now, if he's going to start a hot lap, surely he's going to be bringing himself back into the pits. The yellow flag's got Renault coming down the inside of him as well. Gets out of the way of that. That's Danico coming up to it. They're both probably going to be coming in now. And I wouldn't be surprised if he switches to softs.
Yeah, maybe a choice of going on the wrong tyre. I don't know.
It's strange. Why would you go on the medium tyres if you know it's going to be wet in the race?
No idea.
Doesn't make sense.
Just that first run. Maybe he wants to just get a feel for where the track's at. It strikes me as a very cold track. It's quite an overcast day. And I keep seeing the spray coming off the tyres. I don't think that actually means anything, but it could be an indicator that it is around those conditions, maybe. It's like on the cusp of raining.
Potentially. Luca on an invalidated lap again. It looks like he's going to be on his way in anyway. So, Spicy kind of surprised me already. Only 3,000ths away from Mizzo on the on his current fastest lap, which is, great, but still 2.5 minutes left to go. Track's going to evolve a little bit more. Providing it doesn't rain, we're going to see these times tumble. We still have 5 people that need to get a time on the board.
Yeah, in my mind, Spicy is a bit of a hot lapper. He's been pretty good in qualifying, obviously runner-up last season in ERS, but just not been able to mix it with the big boys here this season in the race. But qualifying-wise, I think he's been fairly solid when he wants to be, but inconsistent would be the word I'd use to describe him. Only 3,000ths up, like you said, so looking good for my prediction for P3. And he's coming out for another run, actually.
And look how many people are on their way out now to start a second run here. You got the House boys that are going together.
He can navigating a bit of a traffic jam there coming out turn 4. Gets past his teammate though.
He has invalidated though, so even if he does cross the line, he's already set himself to mode 0, so he's not going to try. That lap is going to be worthless. So I'd see.
May well be an opportunity for Yonti to get a slipstream from him though. He's following pretty close behind, so it might be a nice run onto the main straight.
I wonder if the Haas drivers are going to give each other a tow. There is an opportunity here for that. We haven't seen anybody give a tow in this session so far. Actually, it looks like they might be trying to do it now. Beaker's going to be the one giving the tow here to Yonti. Yonti's going to be feeling very, very appreciative of it. Beaker's in, and that is it for the tow. It's now over to you, Yonti.
I just said that.
What?
That they were giving each other toes.
Did you? Oh.
Yeah, I did.
I'm getting
It's
old,
nice
that's
to know
all.
you're appreciated.
No,
It's nice to know your input is valued.
my brain fell apart. Okay, it happens to the best of us, alright?
So yeah, Vexit going P3. Like I said, he'd be up there for P3. Very good at qualifying, and I think he did an alright job in... it was either him or Danico that did a really impressive job in the USA. Can't remember which, because I'm the expert commentator that completely pays attention to what's going on around him.
Yeah, and look at that, Vexit P3, you know. Who's no, I had to do that too. Yonti has invalidated his lap though. He is sadly going to have to go again, should he want to. Not looking too fast, to be honest, on this lap either. He ran a bit too wide coming in towards this slow S's. He needs to do better than that.
Yep, just realised I had my game set to iRacing, so completely branching out to a new audience there that probably hate the game. Some idiot finally on his flying lap though. No time set so far, coming through the final corner, and he's going to get a slipstream from Vexit. So very well orchestrated job between these two guys as Vexit coming after his his hot lap into the pits. What is some idiot going to do? I suspect pole, and it is. Yep, half a tenth exactly separating him, and that is my 1, 2, 3 spot on. So let's just call the qualifying there and start the race.
If only it worked like that. We do still have 9 minutes and 20 to go, and Copy has actually raised his bar even more than that. 0.003 of a second separating the two of them, and I wouldn't be surprised if that time drops even further. My only sort of worry, some idiot up there as well. Not some idiot. Who was it? Who just jumped up there? Somebody just jumped up there even more. No, Copy was there, but then I saw somebody else just jump up as well. Never mind. It was Luca. Luca P7. My only worry is these times are very, very fast. If it's going to be a wet race, are they using a wet setup? Surely they know it's coming. They have to be going for a wet setup. But it just looks like they're doing 2 quick times in the dry conditions.
Well, that's all the more entertainment for us, really. I think it's going to be interesting to see. If everyone goes for it, it's fine, and if no one goes for it, it's fine. But if a couple of people go for a wet setup, you're going to see them really dominate this race and leave the others in the dust, or in the spray, most of the point.
All that, and the fact of obviously this track does quite often get, or Brazil as a whole, does get a lot of rain when it does tend to rain. So if they've not set the ride height high enough, they will aquaplane, they could easily lose the car coming into corners, and you're just going to have no end of issues throughout the entire race. So yeah, I think a wet setup, if it's wet on this circuit, is not something you just pass up. You absolutely should go for it. You will gain so much more time. Whatever you lose in the qualifying, you'll pull it all right back in the race. It's just hella worth it.
Yeah, I'm on board with Dennis here. He is seriously struggling for grip. Missing apexes. He lost it on the exit turn 5. Just not doing very well at all.
No. Maybe he's gone for a full wet setup and he's just not accustomed to it. I think that's the right call though, if he has gone for a full wet setup. Oh, okay. He very nearly finds himself dead. What is he doing? He's playing with my heartstrings.
I think he might have had a few.
Very interesting entry to the pits there. If he'd have done that in the race, that'd have been absolutely a 5-second speeding penalty. And almost probably a front wing missing to go with it as well.
I'm not sure if there might be something in his system causing him to drive erratically, should we say?
Intoxication kind of thing.
Potentially. I wouldn't use a word as harsh as that. but yeah, it might be slightly drunk, old Dennis. And Hugo's gets a big slide on coming through that second sector. He's really pushing it. Mode 5 through all the slow stuff as well. He's really going for a time here. Coming to the final corner. Takes it really nicely. Maybe could have gotten the power slightly earlier, but that's just me being picky.
Mod 4 as well. He's going to literally use every single bit of VRS he can deploy on this lap. And we'll go P5. Wow.
And it's such a tight top 5.
Yeah.
It really is. Less than a tenth separating the top 5 here.
I mean, this is fabulous. This is exactly what we came to see. Lots of close-knit racing. And bear in mind, two of the drivers in this top 5 are drivers isolated earlier for not quite having the pace. I mean, yeah, you said Spice is the one who normally you can rely on in the qualifying sessions, but Hugo's has been someone I've not really seen make an imprint anywhere in the qualifying before.
Maybe he's listening. Maybe he's desperate to prove you wrong. This oracle person, you know, what does he know?
I know enough with the detail on the dash to let me know how hot his tyres can be. Obviously, it doesn't really matter at this point. This is just destroy the tyres as much as you can whilst you're going for a hot lap. Make sure you're leaving nothing behind, not a single tenth that you can find. Because you're going to need it when you come into the end of this qualifying session. You need to be far up as you possibly can. And like you said, because of how close-knit it is, like it's 2 tenths separating the top 8 right now. It's only a little bit further than that to then go to P9 and P10. You know, we could even see just 1 or 2 tenths making the difference between being P2, P3 to P8, P9.
Yeah, Luca now on his, is it 3rd attempt now for a hot lap?
Well, he did.
Oh, there we go.
His first stint was on the medium, so I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I don't know if you count that.
He did another one on the soft and jumped up, but Mizzo and Some Idiot trading places. And suddenly the prediction is back on. That's Some Idiot with a 107.812 and Mizzo with a 107.826. So still almost nothing separating them. And I think that is just natural track evolution. I think we will see the guys behind go a couple of tenths quicker as well.
Luca to the line. It was a 108.521, so no improvement from him on this lap. We'll need to get around as quick as he can to change boots and then go all over again. Here comes the Haas. This is Yonti also coming in and he validated again.
Yeah, Fragioko next up. He's on a flying lap coming through the final corner now. I was wondering if Luca's got another set of softs. That'll be his 3rd run on the softs if he makes another one out.
I'm sure he has enough.
Could be a set of worn ones, and Fragioko aborts. Still time for another, so not quite happy with that final lap. As Dennis looks like he is going for a flying lap this time.
I think this is a bad call. He's going to struggle to get in and out again. He goes P8.
It's a good lap.
It's good, but not good enough in my opinion, especially at this late of the stage. 3:30 on the clock remaining. These guys are going to come out again. We are at the time, the calm before the storm. I mean, look how many drivers are still in the pits ready to go for that final push, and he's not going to be anywhere near it. And it's the same situation sort of for Luca. He's going to have enough time, but he's going to have to get a move on when he gets out of the pits. It's just, it's too risky in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with that. But Dennis had to get a lap in. He had to take some of the pressure off, I think. He was having a pretty dreadful qualifying up until now, but it's a decent lap. He's had some bread to soak up all the alcohol, and he's got himself back up there.
A couple of pints of water in between.
Yeah, well, spin to the toilet and back. Feels ready for more.
The only issue now is that this seal has been popped.
Yeah, Yepany the only one to not set a time so far, and kind of goes along with what I was saying about him not being the best qualifier.
Yeah, but at this stage of your league racing career, you need to be in a position where you can at least chuck a time in. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be this far in. Oh no, yep, Dennis's qualifying is over. He's been held up by his teammate, which has just made it even harder for him to get into the pits in time.
Yeah.
Hey, he's got no chance.
Ferrari boys just not interested in getting him back in there, are they?
No, it just seems to be very much the Ferrari strategy way, really, doesn't it?
But the important thing is he got a time in. I think just Chill and Yonti both struggling, but I think he will be towards the back of the grid, which could be an opportunity to get fresh tyres if it is a dry start. Or, well, there's no real benefit if it is a wet start. I guess you get to avoid the turn 1 pile-up.
Yeah. You get to watch it all unfold and just cruise past them as a safety car comes out, and then life is good. The only thing I would say more for Yonti and just chilling is that these are the guys that you would rely on in the race. You know, same sort of scenario. You don't rely on them in the qualifying. They're not that particularly super duper fast, but you know, let's not take anything away from them. They can be quick, and they are very race focused overall. Anyway, if you ever talk to them about qualifying, then I'm not really bothered. Just chuck some time in and find out where I get. These guys obviously trying to succeed in the race. That's where all the points are made. We'll see what they do when we get into the actual Grand Prix, but even so, they're still only, was it 6/10 away from pole? It's not bad at all.
No, notice the Alfa Romeo guys doing a different kind of slipstream going into turn 4, but still working together. It was just Chilling that benefited that time as he's on his hot lap, but he has, I think, backed out of that and been repassed by his teammate.
Yeah.
So trouble from Just Chilling, but he has got enough time to get across that start finish and go for one last laser glory.
It's whether or not he's going to have enough ERS. He's at 50%. We've not yet actually got to the
Spicy
start line.
backs out of his lap. With 30 seconds left, Spicy's into the pits.
Clearly feels as though something went wrong on his lap and couldn't improve. We have Luke who's across the line. He's staying P6.
Yeah, he was 2 seconds off there, so this is his last chance as well. There's a lot of drivers buckling under the pressure of that final run. And this is it. Nobody going to make it across the line now, I don't think. I think Hugo's is going to come across the line, but the checkered flag will be waving, so he's going to be the first guy to finish.
But where though? That's the question. Here he comes to the line.
And it's
P3.
It's P3.
Oh.
The 2 Ferraris coming across the line now. Dennis not setting a time, but Fragioco improving, but only a 108.5. Copy retiring. Danico unable to get himself up there. He improves, but not enough. Now the Haas boys coming across the line. We've got Yonti improves. Beaker fails. Yonti did improve by 2/10, just not enough.
Oh, Mizzo's invalidated, but somebody hasn't. But he has decided to back out.
Yeah, I think they may well be in communication with each other. Obviously, the teammates in different leagues, so he might have had that information on him. But I think actually he probably would have gone for it anyway. But that looks like it's it for qualifying.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything else. So it is pole for some idiot, P2 for Mizzo, and P3 for this guy who Ben McConnell doesn't rate at all, apparently.
I will take it back. I mean, in terms of qualifying, he delivered a really, really solid result today. P3. I did not even put him, in fact, neither of us actually put him in our top 3 prediction for the end of qualifying. So well done, Hugo's. Really showing everybody that he does, in fact, have some solid pace. But this is the rundown at the end of the qualifying, and it's very close across the field. All of the grid of the ones that actually put times in are within 7 or just over 7/10 together. So some idiot takes pole position with Mizzo right there on the back of him in 2nd place. Hugo's in 3rd with Copy in 4th. Spicy in 5th place with Luke in 6th. Danico 7th. Dennis in 8th. Luca in 9th. And Yonti rounding out the top 10. Beaker, his teammate, right there, and best of the rest, with Just Chilling in P12, Fragioco P13, and the final driver to get a time on the board, and then Yepany, who couldn't get a time on the board, will be P14 going into this Grand Prix. Lots to do coming into it. You said plenty of times that his qualifying is not something he relies on. He's entirely reliant on his race pace, and he's going to need to rely on his tyre management and wet weather skill. Give me 1, 2, 3, go.
Look, just a note, it looks like Inters for me, just judging by the rainfall, because I am the oracle of the rain. But I think it's going to be Mizzo, some idiot, and Copy.
So a little tip for you here. If you look in the garages, you can actually see the tyres that they're going to be putting on by the ones that are there. So they're green, meaning they're on the Inters. So yeah, you're right.
See, I told you that just by the rainfall, because, you know, God Gamer and everything.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
This is another sort of Ben McConnell eyes moment, isn't it? Where do you see that?
If you look in the Ferrari garage, you can see the green tyres.
Can't see that. Maybe I've got to turn my quality off ultra low or something. I don't know.
Well, you can see it now on the cars. All of them are green. Yeah. So yeah, intermediate tyres on the car. Fair play to you. I may have the all-seeing eye when it comes to these minor little details, but you have the gut feel, I think, when it comes to this sort of stuff. Your 1, 2, 3 is actually really quite solid. I don't think I can. I want to try and go a bit all out with it. This is actually a track that really favors Beaker. He is very, very good on the circuit, very good at being consistent, and actually very good at keeping himself out of trouble in terms of penalties, but not always when it comes to collisions on the circuit. Do I think he's got enough to get in top 3? Probably not.
I think he's a good driver in the wet, right?
Yeah, can be.
Yeah.
He likes driving in the wet. Whether or not he's good at it is a different situation. But, you know, some idiot, a man that I actually have come to really idolize a little bit when it comes to racing. The guy is just tremendous. He's so passionate when it comes to racing. I commentated a race just on Saturday where he was on the podium, and his reaction to it was just phenomenal. And he's got such a strong feel of camaraderie when it comes to the teammates and just the team as a whole. In fact, he actually shouted your name out as well. I don't know if you spotted that, but it's just so good to see.
Yeah, he's a fucking lunatic is the word you're looking for. He's so passionate about what he's doing. Screaming across the line in the league race you mentioned, but yeah, I've never seen him race in the wet to my knowledge, and I've raced alongside Mizzo for years, and I just think Mizzo might just have it in the wet because I know he's a very good wet weather driver. Also, going back to Hugo's, not really had the luck in the races so far, and I think Copy might have the measure of him in the wet conditions.
Now,
but yeah.
I don't want to put Hugo as in my top 3, only because if I start believing in him, he's going to fail. So I am going to put Samidia on P1. I'm going to go Mizzo P2, and I'm actually going to say Copy P3. But here we go then. They're all in their grid boxes. Yep. They are ready to go. The lights are on. David Tate, would you like to take us away?
Yeah, sure. As Samidia takes it away, boogity, 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 as they say, around his neck of the woods. But I'm going to flick to the back quickly as Fragioko gets a terrible start. And it seems pretty instant free. But side by side between Copy and Hugo's. Hugo's wins that battle. No real position changes. And there goes Dennis. Loses the back end. Hits Yonti. Hits another Haas. That's Dennis out. And that is Yonti, Bika, and Yepany in big trouble. Safety car out.
I don't know what caused that.
That was Dennis losing grip. He hit the side of Danico, and then that sent him spinning.
Well, I mean, he collected a fair few cars. Both house drivers got involved in that. Mega collisions. Yepany was tied up in there too. Fragioko was actually someone who managed to avoid all of that completely and just cruised through them all. So he's getting 4 places, and he didn't even have to do anything. 3 places.
Yeah, my little note I said of people starting in the back of grid might miss that turn 1 carnage. They didn't. Spoiler alert, if you're watching the VOD. But
oh, Luke's gone off.
Safety car already, and that is Luke going off there. So this could be a chance for someone to dive in and take the wet tire.
But there's no standing water, at least not at the minute. On the actual racing line, as they start to do more and more laps, probably not under safety car conditions, that line will start to dry out, and I think it's too big a risk, too big a gamble, and I don't think the signs are there to say let's go wet tires. I mean, you are the man who knows the wet weather conditions more than most people I know. So if you think it's time for wet, he faked it. Luca having a little bit of a scare there for these guys, and lots of people chucking themselves into the pits.
Yeah, it was. I think that's more damage related than anything, but it was simply Luke going off under safety car speeds that triggered that thought in my head. But no, it doesn't look like drivers are struggling enough yet. But whether someone wants to take a punt, it depends what the weather's doing. It doesn't look like it's switched to heavy rain. I'm not seeing that kind of rainfall.
I'm wondering if the rain is actually going to pass.
Oh, Bika does go for wets. Whether that's a mistake or not, Bika is on the wet tyre. And both the Haas on the wet tyre.
Yeah, clearly they know something we don't.
Yeah, Yonti taking that double stack, so he's miles behind, but obviously catch that right back up. But it doesn't look like wet conditions, as you were saying. I can't feel what the drivers are feeling with the game's force feedback. Or lack of it, Kappa.
I think the impression I'm getting from the weather and the situation of the drivers right now, I kind of feel like a lot of them have gone for a more dry setup than a wet setup. It just seems very strange the way that they're attacking the circuit right now and how much of them are struggling to keep the car pointing in the right direction, even on that opening lap, even under safety car conditions. It just seems as though they're not feeling anywhere near as confident as they should be, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this year's handling model doesn't really lend itself to having confidence in the car. I mean, some people liked it to driving a hovercraft, which kind of makes sense. You don't really get the feeling that the car really wants to stick and go around corners, and that is obviously multiplied in the wet conditions. So it's a really tough game to drive the wet in. But I think give it a few laps, let the cars get up to temperature, let them find their rhythm, let them find their limits in terms of grip. And then I think we'll start seeing it calm down and start seeing some good times. But it all depends on whether Beaker and Yonti have got it absolutely spot on with this track.
I would be very surprised if they made this work, honestly. It does
Yeah, I
not
would too.
feel like this is wet weather conditions at all. I think when the race gets resumed, I think you're going to see them fall back very, very, very quickly. It's again, though, a question of can they keep themselves out of trouble. I mean, you can look how far back Yonti is. He is so far away right now. I'd be surprised if the safety car does come in this lap. Normally, it does wait for the whole pack to get back together. We'll see.
Maybe that's what they're trying to do. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to delay the safety car coming in, so they
For the wet weather.
yeah, maybe Yonti will hang back there for the rest of the evening. I don't know.
I mean, there are patches of standing water, but it's not really areas of the circuit you would. Yeah, exactly. It's not areas you would use.
The session. It's his safety car, so he can rejoin at no real penalty to him. But
safety car's doing another lap.
Safety car going around again. Spicy P4, then let's copy back to P5. Spicy joins back.
Interesting.
I don't remember
Okay.
if Spicy was in front of Copy before the safety car came out.
I think he was. I did see his name drop down.
Yeah, but he also passed him. I'm not sure why originally he was ahead.
I'm not sure.
As Yepany goes into the pits, which might point us in the right direction with strategy. I think this is a call for wet tyres, yeah? Yeah, it is.
What?
This could be huge.
Could be, but it also could be horrific. I mean, again, these guys have had a better weather report than what we've had. We've only been told wet race. That's all we know. But I just don't get why you would do this.
Spicy P1 now, apparently. No, I think that's just desync.
I've got the same thing.
Spicy's car does pass everyone. Hang on. What are we doing?
I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing, I think.
Oh, no. It's one of those epic Codemasters moments, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Everybody is ghosted.
Please, no. We've had such a good, exciting start to this race.
I have no idea what's happening.
I was really looking forward to see how the wet was going to play out. Luke gets a 5-second penalty for track limits.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, Spicy is a lap ahead.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Spicy is a lap ahead. That's why everybody is ghosted around him. So despite that, somebody is actually physically P1, but Spicy is technically ahead of everybody, which is why everyone around him is ghosted. So in terms of the restart, he's not necessarily going to have an issue. However, what really needs to happen is he needs to back off and let them, he needs to wait for everybody to catch up. These are ideal. That's the only way you can fix this bug.
Oh, no.
Oh, we're going.
We are back under green. Sorry, I must have missed that, but yeah.
Well, despite what you see,
a whole lap ahead of some idiot, and Mizzo, I think, lets him past. And this is bad news for Spicy as well, because his result is going to be completely screwed up as well.
Bear in mind, everybody's getting blue flagged. Everybody ahead of him is getting blue flagged.
I'm not sure if those penalties carry over to the pit stop. If they don't, it should be pretty easy to overturn that.
Oh, copy! Oh, big smash! Oh my lord! Oh no, it's a Beyblade and it gets worse. We've had both Renaults going off into the wall. Copy is out of this Grand Prix. Luca has been involved in it too. I would not be surprised if we see another safety car, and that was all down to Copy's mistake.
No safety car, no, not even a VSC. Wow.
What a restart. That was just smash, 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 immediately right back into it. But yeah, only yellow flag, so we are still racing. Copy has left the session. Mizzo is technically P2 still, despite Spicy actually being physically ahead of everybody, but I think that's down to the blue flag conditions.
I'm going to give you one of my wet weather oracle moments. The rain is getting heavier.
So maybe the wet
Fragioco, little slide there, almost coming up in that final corner. It's going to give Beaker a big run at him down the back straight, or down the main straight, I should say. But the rain looks like it's getting heavier. Maybe 2-3 laps. Beaker, Yepany, Yonti are going to be looking really good.
See, the thing here that the house drivers can do, or at least these wet weather drivers can do, is use the offline when they're going down the straights. You know, keep the tyres under control, make sure the temperatures don't get out of hand. And you'll see Beaker, he did that earlier as we're going down the home straight in towards turn 1. He did come off the line to stay out the way of Rwaggy, but he is locking up coming into turn 4.
Yeah, not the best. Danico goes for wets as well, so it is getting to that point where it's worth a risk. But yeah, Luca as well going for wets. So these guys, the top 7 might well have been caught short here. And somebody actually letting Spicy past, so that's kind of sorted the order a little bit, at least mitigating all the blue flags we're going to be seeing. But they could be holding everyone up now.
It does also kind of benefit Smidia as well here, which is a bit of a predicament for Mizzo. The tow is there for Smidia. Obviously, we don't have DRS because the track is far too wet for that. It means he can also manage his ERS a little bit. This is good for some idiot, but not good for Mizzo, Hugo's, Luke, and JC.
Yep. I'm going to keep looking at the gap between Beacon and Fragioco. He's lost 2 seconds so far this lap, so it's not ready just yet. But I think, like I said, 2-3 laps, he's going to be looking pretty good. Let's just hope he doesn't burn out his tyres in the meantime, as Luke, down the inside of turn 3, just got a tyre alongside Hugo's, and later on the brakes, managed to get past turn 4, but the cutback is a very scary place to be going too wide. But they managed to keep it clean, to keep the rear end in check, but Luke Mexit takes that position. He's now up to P4, and may be able to lend his teammate a hand here.
Hugo's made one mistake going through turn 3, and that was what opened the door there for Luke to just slide on in and say, I'm moving in, thank you for P4, easy peasy. And realistically, you know, he is going to be feeling confident coming into this. Like you said, could potentially work with his teammate. They seem to be working when it came to the qualifying session, so who knows exactly how this is going to pan out. The one thing you can rely on...
Oh, nearly lost it there going to the final turn. He is perpetually inside of Spicy. Please don't take that out of context. But yeah, he is... I'm not sure... I get the feeling that some idiots he goes into the pits. I get the feeling he's faster. Definitely get the feeling he's faster, but he's going to go for the wet tyre. But I can tell you now, it's not time yet. Vika losing 1.3 seconds to Fragioco that last lap.
I think some idiot is playing this as smart as he possibly can. He is faster than Spicy, that's been proven, but he can't pass him. The blue flags will just cripple him over and over and over again, and he doesn't want to risk getting any unnecessary penalties and then having to serve them and then not have them be removed. So him going out into the pits now, switching to wets, when he knows the conditions are eventually going to get there, or at least that's where everyone else seems to be feeling, this might benefit him in the long run.
Oh, a big slide coming out that pit exit. Bika only lost 0.2 so far this lap, and they're about a third of the way around. He's actually gained that time back, so it looks like we are at the crossover point. And this could be perfectly played by some idiot. If he can get himself sort of a 2-second gap on Spicy, he'll be home free. And Mizzo might not be as lucky. He might be stuck behind that car that is technically a lap ahead, I guess.
Honestly, if you're in Spicy's shoes now, I think the position he should do is just stop. As in, crawl around the track, let everyone pass him, unlap himself, if you like, and resume where he was before, which I think was P3, is that right? I
completely agree, but we don't know what he's seeing on his screen, though. That would be my only counter-argument, as Hugo's comes in as well. Mizzo staying out, and I believe that is a decision that may well ruin his race here, because he needs to do something to clear some space between him and Spicy.
Yeah. I feel like Mizzo's even faster than Spicy as well in these conditions, but same scenario as what Smitty had, can't pass because you'll just get blue flagged to no end.
Really lacking grip in that first corner, sorry to cut you off there, but he runs super wide. Seems to have got it under control now, but 6.3 seconds is the gap to Yepany in front. He has jumped Hugo's, but I think it will be very tight between him and Mizzo.
Now, the only real benefit that Mizzo has here is he doesn't have to worry about physically where Spicy is, because, like you saw earlier, he can just drive through him. They do have ghosting on for this, so if you are a lap down, the car will just ghost, which is why you can see Mizzo looks like he's suddenly just lost mass. He is still there, and will still go for a move. Luca's retired in the pit lane.
makes sense he was involved in that collision with the two Renaults. So it does make sense. No one in the pits from the leading group. Just chilling, despite not pitting, is 4.3 seconds behind these guys now. So they're really setting the pace, these front three.
Yeah, we're definitely at weather conditions now. If you look offline, it is very much, there's a lot of standing water there.
It's soaking.
And you know, this is just going to make the intermediates work even harder on the actual racing line itself. I mean, right now, yeah, there's no real standing water on the racing line, but we are pretty much at the point where that's going to start happening. And if you can see, he's drifting off. As soon as he gets off the line, he's done for.
Luca's car coming onto the racing line there before the entry of turn 4. This could be bad news for some idiot, unless he's ghosted, which he is, but that'll be a serious distraction. He does miss his apex as a result, but I think some idiot is going to jump these guys now. Because this is, as you said, this is Wet Town. We've gone from Moistville to Wet Town. I'm gonna stop talking. That was horrible.
He's so wet, honestly. Just looking off the line, it has now become effectively a swimming pool. I'd like to. It'd be good. We've already seen 2. Or 1, sorry.
I'd like to see spicy 2 laps ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. But I mean, to be honest, it would be the chance that he would need in order to reset himself, because he can just go off track, let people pass him, and then reset this race altogether.
As JC now into the pits, and a big lockup, but he avoids that 5-second speeding penalty. Luca leaving the session as well. It might get him in a bit of trouble.
I can't get over how bad that Renault crash was. Copy lost the rear going through turn 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Back end stepped out, slammed into the wall, and then it just caused a chain of reaction there that Danico got caught up in, and so did Luca.
Yep, Spicy struggling for grip through the same section of track. It's just those curves. You've got to take the curves because it is a fairly narrow track with very wide curves. So you've got to find a way to extend the track, but in the wet, it's almost a death sentence if you get it slightly wrong.
Yeah. All right, Luke on the back of Mizzo, still back end very
everywhere.
Lively. Yeah, he's struggling,
everywhere.
And that's the other thing. You know, these curbs that you need to drive over when it comes to the Brazilian circuit is going to become even harder, especially on these intermediate tires. You know, they're so slippy. And you can even see how wet that curb is. Oh, the back end stepping out there. Mizzo looks like he's a lot more comfortable than Luke, but either way, neither of them are really going to be feeling that fast, despite the fact it's a 7.6 second gap to Beaker behind.
It's interesting that they haven't made the choice to come in. I don't understand that strategy in my head. They're obviously playing it long for some reason. Maybe the rain will ease off in a few laps. But I'm not sure. I think
maybe
if he pits now, it is game over for him. So I think
I'm
he's
wondering,
played himself into a bit of a corner here.
This might be a 5-head moment, honestly, because if you think about it, they've got to do another 23 laps on whatever tire they pit on. So if they extend the inters now, they could do a 1-stop to wet tires. These guys in the Haas cars, for example, are 10 laps in already. Likelihood is they're going to have to pit again, because whilst they are pretty durable and can go pretty far into the race, your pace is going to drop severely as this race goes on because of how hard the tires are going to be worn. I think maybe they've actually played this quite smart.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the way Luke is sort of drifting and sliding around the track, his tires aren't going to last for that much longer. I mean, even though the track is colder and wetter than the intermediates require, he's still putting a hell of a lot of energy into those rear tires.
Right. Well, we'll keep a firm eye on these wet drivers behind. Biga has actually gained on Luke quite substantially. However, Luke has also dropped off quite a lot too. So about a second has been lost between him and Mizzo, and you can see just how big that gap has become now as time's gone on. Mizzo will still get the toe from Spicy, so in the straights, especially in the run-in towards turn 4 and on the home straight, he's going to be loving life, whereas Luke does not have that. But his worry right now is not, I haven't got the toe, it's, I'm struggling with his back end. How do I tame this beast?
You go into the pits and you stick a pair of wet tires on, or a set of wet tires on.
Yeah, but I think if they are doing what I've said they're doing, I think they've done the right thing. And I think they still have to go that little bit further. Ideally, you want to take them to about lap 16 chuck onto some wet tires then, and then just take it to the end of the Grand Prix. And actually, the time you lose now, between now and then, is going to be nothing in comparison to the amount of time you will gain by being in the wet tires at the right time.
Yes, with the only exception that it's obviously a hell of a lot harder to pass in the wet conditions, no DRS, and just a lack of ability to commit on the exit of corners.
Yeah, if your car was driving at the same pace as the other cars, yeah, absolutely. You know, it is a very difficult area difficult track to overtake in the wet conditions. But when you are substantially faster because of the tyre type
closed around 3 seconds. Sorry, Beaker's closed around 3 seconds that final lap.
Yeah.
And he is within sight of Mizzo and Spicy.
And again, it kind of goes back to what you're saying about how much the wet tyres are better than the Inters right now. They are really, really working for both the house drivers, and life is starting to get really good for them.
Yeah, it's not a 5-head moment. Unfortunately, it is a 3-head moment from my perspective right now. I mean, I could be proven completely wrong, but he's going to drop right to the back of the field, I think, if he pits now. Mizzo and Luke, that is.
Well, Luke defending into turn 4, but it's not worked out for him. Beaker's looking for the inside line. He's going to try and stick his nose in. You know, in a bit of a wobble there, bit of contact between them, but he will get through. Very brutish there from Beaker, but he has managed to secure P3 physically on the circuit. Yonti's going to look to do the same thing. Ideally in a more tidy man. He's going to go for a send here. Yes, he has to. There's going to have to be a bit of a gap left there for Luke. He's giving him just enough space. Now the favour has to be returned. Yonti's sticking around the outside again, but just once more, they keep it very respectable between the drivers, and Yonti will secure P4.
Yeah, and that is a perfect illustration of it. Yonti with more grip off track than Vexit had on the dry-ish line. As Yepany going around the outside of the final corner, he's going to get such a much better exit there, and yep, done. And I think that will spell the end of Luke's stint on the intermediate tyre, if he knows what's good for him. But he doesn't, so he'll carry on. I just don't see how it's viable, because Beaker around the outside of turn 1 now, and obviously they're going to be ghosting through each other because of their proximity to Spicy. They're going to be able to ghost through each other.
It's very odd, the scenario they're in. But yeah, Beaker is now chasing what is a race leader. Despite the 1 lap gap, they are still there.
Oh, and that's Vexit off. Vexit off. Turn 3.
No damage there. Just a mistake made. And a lot of time lost.
A lot of time lost. Those tyres are going to be getting worse, and it's just time to put some wets on as Yonti goes down the middle. Still ghosted on my screen.
Yeah, but Yepany isn't. Yepany's...
Oh,
they are connected! Yeah. Oh no!
Ah, that's Yonti. Ah, you connected right on the wheel there. It's taken the right rear off, and that is Yonti. Well, that's his storming drive put to an end in 1 second. And that's a safety car, and Mizzo is saved. Luke is saved. Spicy was saved anyway, because he's a whole month ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, this has worked actually perfectly for Mizzo. I think, I know you don't think it was a great play. I think this is the perfect play.
Beaker not wanting that track position. Well, he is technically first on the road, I guess. Yepany staying out to take that P1.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Oh, Beaker had to pit. That's so genius. This is a perfect answer to Mizzo. This is a perfect answer to Mizzo. The only way...
Mizzo's still on Inters. Some idiot on Inters. Hugo's on Inters. Maybe gives you an idea of what the rain is about to do. So it could well be 5-head from Mizzo. He's not really... Well, he's been saved by the safety car, I think.
Yeah.
I think regardless of what would have happened, Mizzo, even if the rain had eased off, he would have needed another set of Inters. I don't think you can survive the whole race on one set.
This is such a crazy strategy scenario. Yeah, this is exactly what we want in racing.
Beaker is going to be left behind massively, as will Yepany. I think we may well see Yepany coming into the pits this lap.
What?
Beaker disqualified from session, Spicy disqualified from session, ignoring yellow flags.
What? How?
It's a pre-ordered 2020, boys.
I don't. This is such a scenario.
Oh
That's the only way I'm going to describe it. It's a scenario.
I hate this game so much.
Well, we lose 2 drivers, contenders there for podiums.
They haven't been disqualified though on my screen. They're still going.
I think they have.
We've got Yepany doing about 5 miles per hour. They're not grayed out, but they do look like they're being controlled by AI.
I don't know. I'm lost for words. I am actually lost for words.
know.
I don't know what. As an organizer for this, I don't know what you do here. We're halfway through, literally halfway through the race. Restarting would be a nightmare.
Half points? I don't know.
There'd be points that are being awarded that wouldn't and shouldn't be awarded. I think you just scrap the race altogether. That's the only thing you can do, right?
I would say call it here, maybe. Call it before the safety car came out, maybe? I'm not sure. Going down a bit of a rabbit hole if we abandon this race in terms of, you know, what do we measure the position by. But Yepany, I guess, would be the race winner.
How is Beaker still driving? How is Spicy still driving?
No idea.
They definitely showed us disqualified in the bottom left corner.
They definitely did, but they haven't been grayed out. Yepany being controlled by AI. Maybe he's just paused for a second, though.
Wow.
And
I'm
Spicy's
lost.
the pit.
Beaker's still going. I wonder if they know this has happened.
I mean, to be honest, we don't know what's happening, so I don't think we can expect them to.
No.
But Spicy, not quite the back of the field, but almost.
I don't even know what to say. I have no idea what to say.
No idea, but we've got 17 laps to figure it out, I guess.
Apparently Beaker is still driving. So despite what he said for us, he is still driving. I've had that confirmed from somebody in contact with Beaker.
Okay.
Still racing.
Interesting. So we'll just pretend that never happened.
But on top of that, Spicy is still a lap ahead.
He is indeed, but at least... Oh, he's letting people pass. I think he's letting people pass. I think this might be the thing that gets the race back to an almost playable state. And yeah, that's Spicy now.
But he's still
on
1
the
minute
lead
40
lap,
ahead.
but he's the safety car won't pass him, surely.
In order for this to be reset, he's going to need to stop and wait for everybody to go around.
Maybe these guys will now get waved around. Yepany, Beaker. So Spicy will still be P1, and I think that's probably fair. But everyone else will get waved around, I think, now.
Can I just say, massive, massive sportsmanship to this guy.
Yeah, definitely.
This, he didn't have to do what he's doing. As far as in terms of physical laps done, they've all done the exact same physical amount of laps. But he's fixing a problem that wasn't his to start with by just being a great sportsmanship player.
Fragioko onto the Inters. If I'm Yepany and Beaker right now, I take the hit and I go for Inters.
Can we get some claps in chat for Spicy here? I think he definitely deserves a clap. Here's one from me. Spicy, well done, mate. His tyres are going to be so cold.
Yeah, it's going to completely
35 degrees rear right.
Wow.
He is literally... I've had drinks that are warmer than his tyres. Sorry?
It's probably air temperature in Brazil, right?
Yeah, you know what it probably is. I've had cold drinks that are warmer than his tyres. Like that's nuts.
It's not a very cold drink though, was it?
30 degrees, isn't it?
Yeah, like 30-degree cold drink. Okay.
It's a very hot drink.
Yeah. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't see the safety car passing Spicy. I think he's going to instantly stop and destroy the pack, if I'm honest. Safety car in this lap.
Oh.
How is this going to work?
Safety car will come in, but he's going to struggle
They're
it.
going to be doing full
Don't
speed
stop
now.
on the circuit.
Spicy's doing 3 miles per hour down the straight. They're going to be going full speed ahead.
And his tyres are going to be freezing cold.
I don't know.
Right, well, we'll see how this one pans out, but everybody's going to pass him. He's very slowly on the inside.
But is that passing into safety
car? No, it's fine. Everybody seems to be okay with it.
Oh,
nobody's... Oh, Hugo's might actually...
But with 4 ice blocks on his car, still manages to send it around the outside of Hugo's, though. Wet's still the tyre to be on, by the looks of things.
Honestly, I don't care what happens now. Spicy is my driver of the day. The guy deserves so much.
I agree. I don't think he had to give up that amount of positions. I think I would have been happy with him sitting in first. But yeah, great sportsmanship by him. And
not just that, even when the race resumed, like you said, on his ice blocks that he has on the car, he still goes side by side with another driver. Like, that is incredible.
But Mizzo dropping a lot of time, already 2.1 seconds to Bika, who is a further 6/10 behind Yepany. So it might have been the wrong call from these guys on the Inters. We'll see what happens in the race. This could be a second stint of 2 halves as the rain eases up, and it could be a second phase of the Inters catching the wets. Or maybe trying to get the gap to pit.
But this is... I mean, you'll know a bit more than me in this respect because you love driving the weather conditions, but for me personally, you don't mess about when it comes to the wet weather. You absolutely have to go on whatever tyres the track is telling you they need to be right now. In the dry conditions, it's a different story. You get to play around a little bit. Some of it is closing into the back of Spicy, but you have to think about, there's so much standing water, I can't afford to run wide, I can't afford to touch the curbs, I can't do anything wrong whilst I'm on these intermediate tyres. And Spicy, who is on the wet tyres, which were freezer cold beforehand, he's now doubled the temperature up. He's already on the back of Mizzo. Ooh, very close to the back of him, and there may have even been a touch there, but it had been the most mildest touch. I'm not even sure Mizzo would have felt it. But Spicy coming out of turn 5, ready to go for a move on Mizzo. Should Mizzo make a mistake and run wide in 6-7? I don't think he is going to, and Spicy is going to try and find the gap down the inside. Maybe go for a last second send. Nope, he's had a little think about it, but Mizzo shuts the door.
So much more grip. It's a case of when and not if, but Mizzo's got to be fuming at his choice of tyres right now. Ooh, big lock up there. And there's another tap, and Mizzo would have definitely felt that one.
Yeah,
looks like somebody dropping off the back of Mizzo as well.
I'm wondering what Yepany's going to do here. 17 laps in on these wet tyres. Or back end stepping out there for Mizzo, coming out of the final corner. Spicing out with the toe, livening it up for him. He's going to very much close in here.
He's going to have to send it. He'll be able to brake much later, but he decides not to. Does have a little bit of a lockup as well, but he's losing so much time here. And with the rain slightly easing, you get a feel that time is at a premium for these wet drivers.
Oh.
Jets past.
Yeah, nice simple overtake there. Actually, both Alpha drivers were in a battle there. One losing out and the other one gaining. As Just Chillin manages to get past Luke through turn 1-2. Mizzo losing out in the run up towards turn 4. While Spicy just made a very simple overtake.
I'm surprised that Yepany's been able to keep Bika at such an arm's length. 18 laps Yepany's been on those tyres. 6 laps for Bika, but the gap is not moved at all. If anything, it's swinging Yepany's way.
Yeah, but realistically, these wets will not go to the end of this race. That's the major concern he has. He's got to do an additional 14 laps, 15 if you include the remainder of this one, and I think it's just too much to ask for.
The rain has definitely eased up. This will be moving to Inters soonish. I think we'll be waiting maybe 4 or 5 laps, but then the chase is on for these guys behind. Assuming they haven't burnt out the best of those Inters in the meantime.
Yeah, big lock up there from Bika going in towards turn 1. The left side completely stuck as he was braking into the zone. He never actually released it at all. May want to move his brake bias a little bit just to try and accommodate for that, but you know, he knows the situation he's in. Just trying to losing out to Vexit again. Same place that he overtook. It's now Vexit repaying the favour. But the cutback of Dreams here for Just Chilling. Going around the outside of turn 3. He's going to need to get the exit of Dreams, and I don't think he's going to get it. Vexit will keep the position for now, but the tote is still very much alive. He's so close to the back of him. Could go for a move around the outside of turn 4 if he really wants to, but he's going to be stuck on the outside for turn 5 unless he gets a cutback, which he's trying. But Vexit has held the line perfectly, and Vexit will get back to P7.
Very tight battle. I don't think it's the last we've seen there. It seems to be the closest battle on track, but Spicy can't seem to shake Mizzo. And that is not just bad news for him, but bad news for the two in front, because they would have definitely hoped to have pulled out a bit more of a gap before these inters start coming good. And now Mizzo is getting close. He's in the position, and Spicy loses grip, jumps out the way. Spicy really struggling on those tires, locks up and hits Mizzo in the back, but manages to keep it straight and not go off. And now some idiot will have the same job to do. And Yepany hits the pits.
This is Inters. This is absolutely Inters weather. You can see that the standing wall's gone. You were right. The track has evolved, and here comes some idiot as well. Go for a move. Almost goes into the back of Spicy. Spicy defends it towards turn 1. He's going to try to do the exact same thing, and I don't think he can hold this now. The grip is just so much better on the Inters. You can see that as they go through turn 1, 2, 3, and immediately some idiot up to P3, starting to get ready to attack Mizzo.
Yeah, bad call from Yepany, I think. Might jump Daniko, but no, I think he will be right at the back of the field. And I just wonder if he would have just pitted on the safety car. Yeah, he'd have been last in line, but he would have had a chance to advance through the field. But we'll see what happens by the end of this race. BK the next to come in, surely. Spicy not too far behind as he gets sent by Hugo's. He's going to have the outside now, but can he hold it with a superior tyre? No, but he'll just knock him out the way, and Spicy spins it into the infield. Not entirely his fault.
No.
But, you know, side-by-side racing sometimes does produce that kind of thing.
It was such a minor touch, but...
Just look at him. He's got no grip.
So, fun fact, his tyres are in the 90s. That's how hot they are right now, and they don't operate well in the 90 degrees. And it's not that he's worn them to the ground at all. It's purely that there's no grip.
They're so sensitive this year with temperatures. It feels like if you have one spin, as Daniko almost getting on the grass to overtake Spicy on the outside, and Yepany already overtaking his teammate before even getting into the pits.
Yeah, Spicy is pretty much, as sad as it is to say, he's pretty much done. Yeah.
Same for Mika. That extra lap. Look how much that extra lap's punished him. He's 10 seconds behind his teammate.
And it's not like you can gain. It's not like you can even gain from the tyre wear. Like, in terms of difference, he's not going to be benefiting that much in comparison to those of the front. I mean, yeah, granted, the top 5 have done 9 laps on their intermediate tyres, but 3 of those were under safety car conditions. And on top of that, they're going to be fine. The gap is just too big for him to really capitalise on it. So Yepany is probably the only person to watch here to maybe make his way through the field. Everyone else is too far back.
Just for context, how quickly that track evolved. Bika lost 12 seconds to Yepany by staying out 1 lap extra.
Yeah.
That's
and
Spicy. Insane.
Spicy was fighting with Mizzo earlier, if you remember. He's now 6 seconds behind Bika. So it's just phenomenal how much they can lose this.
But Mizzo maintaining and slightly, very, very slightly extending that gap to some idiots. 1.6 seconds. I don't see them getting that close, to be honest. I think we might be just waiting for one of these guys to make a mistake. But Yepany, fastest lap. He's closing in on Daniko. And he's got 2 seconds up the road for Agioko. But the field's pretty split up. It's a long way back to a decent position for Yepany.
Yeah, this is going to be hard for Yepany to get himself anywhere near that top 3. I think realistically it'd be considered good if he could get himself to about P6. If he can get Fragioko right before we get to the line, that would be phenomenal. But yeah, we've had lots of safety cars, lots of scary moments, lots of weather changes, lots of tyre strategies just being chucked into the bin. What do you do here? You know, I think any one of these decisions could have gone anybody's way. It's just purely reacting to the situation, being slightly proactive, and just making sure you get on the right tyres at the right time, which has worked wonders for Mizzo and even Samidia. They've really lapped it all up, and same for Hugo's. I mean, realistically, they are back to where they started, and they've been all over the field.
Yeah, I mean, the proactive thing, definitely the case. That first safety car, if you remember, it was Yepini that stuck a set of wets on, and by the time the second safety car came out, he was first. But in that, he didn't proactively react to the intermediates for the second stint, and he's found himself right back at the in P8. So it's the drivers that have been proactive that have really profited.
And it shows. It really shows. You have to be so on it. And thinking to the official F1, for example, they have so many people staring at the weather for this exact reason. It's so huge, the amount of time you gain and lose, that you can't miss a beat.
Absolutely not. Spicy sets the fastest lap, but that will be a little bit too little too late for him. He was looking good. I mean, he was a whole lap ahead for one part of the race, but yeah, not to be. A little bit of a touch from Hugo's might be discussed later on. Hugo's catching some idiot, actually, so that's very surprising to me, but he's caught him by about 2/10 this lap. We've got 9 laps to go. We could be looking at a decent battle for P2 come the end of this race.
Well, it's currently
not looking like he's comfortable in these conditions.
There's actually currently a battle for P6 going on here that's looking very, very good. Hugo's setting a new fastest lap and 12 laps in as well.
What did you say about bottom left?
Oh, listen, I said this earlier. If I put him in my top 3 prediction, you know he wasn't going to do well. Let's be honest. Danico going around the outside here. Fragioco, as we come up to the braking zone for turn 1, he's going to still have to stick it out, but he had a little bit of a scare there. He didn't realize how good Fragioco was going to be on the brakes, and that kind of caught Danico out a little bit, but he's still here. He's not had any damage. He's not had any contact, and he does have the inside line. Off he goes.
Trying to find a gap anywhere. Can't quite find it, but he's clearly much quicker and much more comfortable on these fresh inters as Fragioco runs wide and loses 2 spots there.
Yeah. He's on the curb as well. That could have been very much a dead Ferrari. But no, we're good. Danico, P6. Yepini up to P7 now. Ready to go for a P6 move later. But the problem he's going to have now is if he's wants any chance of being able to close in on just chilling, he needs to break away from this fight as quick as he can. He can't afford to be stuck battling anybody. I mean, JC's not that far up the road. He's only 3.5 seconds. So he's still very much there to play for. But he has to get a move on. Yeah,
JC is a great guy, but he's disappointed me today in his wet weather driving. He's 6 seconds adrift of exit. He's just not been at the races today at all. Not comfortable with these conditions. I think Yepini will quite easily catch up to the back of him before the end of this race.
But you also have to remember, Danico was also caught up in the incident with Copy. Copy lost control of his car coming out of turn 5 in towards turn 6, and Danico got collected. But he's still managed to get himself back into a very respectable position, all things considered. I think Danico, if we weren't going to give the award to Spicy, I think he's in that contenders list.
Well, I think a big part of him getting back up to where he is was that safety car, so I'm not sure it hasn't been some sort of insane drive under green flag to get in those positions. I think he has been gifted by a safety car, and when you look at it, he's dropped back about 8 seconds to Luke in P4, so not a great drive, in my opinion. Lucky, yes. Not a great driver.
Yeah, I mean, the stars of them, but I think there's always a degree of luck when it comes to it. I mean, even if you look at Jenson Button's win that he did in Canada that time, where he went was so far up the field at the beginning, then fell right to the back, and then had more in his shoes. Even to that extent, there was a lot of it. If there was no safety cars, there was no way he was pulling that one off. But
yeah, 100%. And he put Hamilton into the wall, so that's really a perfect race from me.
Fair enough.
2 things you've got to do, really, isn't it?
Apparently. Fred Joko's dropped off like a stone now between him and Yepini.
Yeah.
And Yepini's ready to go on Danico.
Danico has gained about a second and a half on just chilling this last lap. So, I've been riding on board with Yepini for about a lap now. And I'm just thinking he's getting really held up by Danico, but it's not the case. Danico is doing actually some really solid lap times, which is just making me ask the question, why is he so far behind the rest of these guys?
I mean, he is closing in. He's working his way towards just chilling. But I think it's more of a testament to how good these top four actually are doing right now. I think had the restart been a bit better for Danico and the rest of the pack behind, I think he may have actually been able to stay in with this fight for the top four. I don't think his pace is really dropping away as such, but yeah, it's just the way the race folds out. And Yepany ready to go, and Danico again getting a little bit out of shape coming through the very slow right-hander. And now watch this. Yepany's just going to cruise past.
Yeah. He'll have to take a risk. He'll have to get on the power early. And yeah, a bit of a wiggle, but he'll be close enough to capitalize from that slipstream now. And I think he will absolutely eat him for breakfast on the way to turn one. Danico should cover the inside. Chooses not to, but Yepany has to make a dive here, surely.
Oh.
Locks up the brakes. Danico holds his line really well and holds the position, but maybe a good run here. Later apex through turn 2. Gets the run in turn 3. He's going to be closing all the way up into turn 4. Flicks out, doesn't get alongside, but keeps his nose in there, but can't get anything alongside Danico. Great driving from him. Slight mistake on the exit of turn 4. Slight mistake by Yepany as well. Has a little look, but not quite able to intimidate Danico into a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, that was all that was, wasn't it? It was just fully a message to Danico of, I'm coming, make a mistake now. And Danico just kept his cool, literally from the word go. From the second they came out that final corner, all the way down the home straight, in towards turn 1, everywhere around since that point, he's just kept his cool. He made a little bit of a mistake. It didn't really affect him too much. And it's the same sort of situation for Yepany. They both did it exactly the same time. And as we go around the final corner again, we're in the same position we were last lap, and no position changes.
Yeah, if anything, a bit further back, but I think it's a case of waiting for a mistake from one of these drivers. Yeah, Yepany doesn't seem that much faster than Danico. Without the DRS, the dry conditions would have given. I don't think, well, it's certainly not going to be an easy overtake. Might have to get his elbows out to get this done. But they are still catching JC. The gap is 1.6 now. So maybe coming up to the back of JC might open up a little gap, a little opportunity for Yepany to sneak through. Maybe gain 2 in 1 there. Oh, Hugo's is 8 tenths now from Sumidia. Somebody has dropped back, must have made a mistake.
Yeah, 3.2 as well between Mizo and Sumidia, so clearly, yeah, like you say, something went wrong for Sumidia, and this has allowed Hugo's now to get himself into a better position than he already was before. P3 is where he sits, ready to attack P2 potentially. In the same boat, Yepany's still all over the back of Danico, and it feels like he's driving a boat sometimes, the way that he's attacking the circuit. His back end is very lively. He's not quite got the maneuverability he wants, and Danico's starting to pull away. Yepany's getting desperate.
Yeah, I mean, Yepany's from Finland. You've got to have a lively rear end if you're from Finland, right? On a car, not in real life.
I like how you had the little ending, but yeah, on a car, talking about a car.
They're not like serial twerkers or something. I'm talking strictly about motorsport. But not this lap either. Again, not getting the great exit that needs out of that final turn. And it's not just the exit in the wet, it's because you don't think about it in the dry, but it is one big left-hand turn onto that main straight.
Yeah.
And not so much in the inters, but in the full wet conditions, it's really, really hard to apply the power and get yourself through there. Especially if you touch one of those inside curves. It could be really, really catastrophic.
A lot of the time, it's less is more. That's what I've found. Less is more. You know, don't turn your ERS up too early because you'll quite often find yourself losing the back end. And even a slight wobble with these cars causes you to lose a ridiculous amount of time. Hugo's is catching into the back of somebody. He is literally right on the back and has been now for a little while now. But he's also struggling. His back end is kicking out just as much as Yepany's is. I don't know if it's the pressure of getting towards P2.
Yep, getting much closer now.
Yeah.
Less than a tenth almost coming through that final corner. And it's all about the exit here. Danico might get a bit of slipstream from JC.
Oh no.
And Yepany doesn't get the exit. He doesn't get the exit, and that's all you can do. If you don't get that exit, you're not going to be able to close it enough down this straight. He'll have another opportunity to turn 4 maybe, but it's not going to happen here.
See, Beaker earlier...
Danico makes a mistake! That's a big mistake from Danico. Locks up, locks the rears, slides it around, manages to bring it back to the apex and shut out Yepany. But that is a bit of breathing room for Just Chilling with 2 laps to go. Maintains P5.
And with this battle that's about to unfold here.
4. Here he goes. Danico not fighting that one too hard, actually. Maybe thinking he can get him coming down into turn 1 once more. Or maybe just waiting for Just Chilling to open up a gap.
I think it's more the fact of... I think Danico's reading the situation perfectly. He knows Yepany's going to go for a move. Let him go. No fighting. If I fight, I'm going to lose JC. If I lose JC, I lose the chance of getting P5, and ultimately I'm going to end up in the same place I'm going to get, even if I can defend against Yepany. This is very much a smart move from Danico to bide his time and wait for his opportunity to arise, but he is running out of time, and right now he's losing pace as well.
Yeah, losing a lot of speed there. I just think with the amount of difficulty Yepany had to overtake Danico, I think it would have been worth holding on to that position. I mean, Yepany only really had a shout after a huge Danico mistake. But yeah, he's dropped over a second now.
Yeah, Yepany is really closing in on Just Chilling here. I'm actually surprised we've not seen... I don't think we've seen any penalties from corner cutting. I don't remember any being applied.
I think a 5-second for Vexit, but that was under the safety car, so that will get overturned.
So this is really good from these guys then to be handling the cars in this scenario perfectly displayed. Hugo's still bringing himself closer to some idiot, closer than he has been for a couple of laps now, but we are, like I say, running out of time. Lap 35 of 36. We've got the remainder of this and then one hard push on the final lap. I don't think Yepany's going to wait for that though. He's going to go as quick as he can on Just Chilling, and I don't blame him. Just Chilling is 8 laps older on these tyres. Yepany has to go.
JC looking really, really slow for this slow section. And really holding Yepany up. And it's going to give Danico an opportunity to maybe get back up to the back of Yepany. But he's got to really put his foot down and make the most of this chance he's got, because I think in a couple of corners' time, if Yepany gets the right kind of exit, not quite, he's backing away now, but the slipstream will bring him back in, of course. I think, yeah, Just Chilling should defend the inside here. Does go for the outside. I think it's a bit far away for a dive, and yet Yepany agrees with me. So another lap potentially for Danico, assuming Yepany doesn't get past into turn 4.
Yeah, he's gonna have a look at it though. Look at this, Just Chilling can see
going
it.
to the inside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you have to do. Hold the inside. I don't think he's going to have enough grip to try it around the outside, but JC makes a mistake. Cut back from Yepany. That's a fantastic overtake.
He read that. He set it up. Oh, JC going into the back of Yepany. I thought he was going to kill him there for a second. But Yepany, yeah, he read that. He's seen this exact scenario before and just perfectly played it out. He waited for JC to go a bit deep, took the cutback opportunity, slid it right down the inside, and off he goes now up into P5. And I don't think JC can do anything more than just look in his mirrors and watch out for that runner.
Yeah, and I know we've been staring at this battle for so long. It's actually the final lap. Yep. So Mizzo is about to come across the line. Not that we've paid any attention at all to him. To a very convincing second stint and a very convincing win. Hugo's gets as close as 2/10 to the back of some idiot, and I think he's done himself very proud today. Very, very proud. Danico's going to get close across the line, but not going to get Just Chilling, I'm afraid. That's P7. P5 for Yepany, P6 for JC, P7 for Danico. Fragioko and Bika. Bika's going to get him on the line here. No, he's not. But less than 2/10 separating them. And Spicy, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I think he's won himself a lot of friends, but only 1 championship point.
Yeah, but I mean, we're at that stage where it's already too late for the championship anyway. It's just, this is just now for him for fun, if you like. Deserved it, very well deserved it. But we'll see. So the rundown is very simple. Mizzo started P2, successfully managed to get the win with somebody there chasing him in P2. Hugo's P3, Luke P4, Yepany P5, JC P6, Danico P7, Fragioko P8, Bika P9, and Spicy getting the final point and the only other driver to actually finish, as the DNFs were Yonti, Luca, Copy, and Dennis. Who is the driver of the day?
Oof. Who is the driver of the day? Yepany for me. If not for a unfortunate strategy call in that second stint. He had the pace to, well, definitely run it closer. I'm not sure how he would have compared to the likes of somebody at Mizzo and Hugo's, but it would have been very interesting. I think he would have been up there come the end of the race. So, Yepin is my driver of the day.
Yeah, I think the information I've been provided is that Spicy was actually instructed to give the lap back. So, I mean, he still did it, so I don't want to take anything away from it. I think he deserves the driver of the day just for sportsmanship alone. So, Spicy gets my vote. And that's it for the European Racing Series Grand Prix here in Brazil. It's the second to last one. We'll see you next week for the final one in what has to be the most interesting ending to a calendar ever.
Yeah,
Abu
I do
Dhabi.
love 90-degree corners. They are my favorite, you know. I don't like 80-degree. I don't like 100-degree, but 90-degree is just perfect. It just hits that sweet spot of complete awkwardness to drive and lack of ability to overtake. Ah, God, I can't wait.
And on that note, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. No hype at all. But yeah, of course, thank you very much for watching. This has been the European Racing Series at a soaking wet Brazil. The race was 36 laps, but I could have done with it being 56 laps. I was absolutely loving it. But we will be back same time, same two places. That's me, Falsetti Time, and Rwaggy's channel, of course, on a Tuesday evening, 7 EU, 8 EU, 7 UK. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.